Growing up, how we dealt with Mum's depression, I suppose Dad was very open to talking about it. I think that's why this is quite important, that people start opening up and talking about it and knowing that they're not alone, because that's something I felt a lot growing up.
My depression and bipolar was spoken about very openly in my family because my father has the condition. So everybody understood that there was this thing that existed in the family, but there was never ever a feeling of there's an elephant in the room and it must not be spoken of. I think a lot of families operate like that. Mine didn't. So a very sort of verbal, open family who discuss things, and even if it's a tough subject, my family has the tendency to be able to go there and actually have the discussion. So for that I'm very grateful, because that's really helped me.
My mum just tells me that I should just not talk about it because in our culture there's like it's changing now, but it's still depression is kind of like a deformity, I guess.
The family is incredibly important as providing the social support and help to the person who has depression. It's on every level, it's on the level of relationship and love between people in a family. It's on the level of helping people at every point in being able to facilitate their life. We know that social support is incredibly important in terms of keeping people well.
I found at school some of the kids weren't very accepting, so it was very important that I did have that person to talk to. And Dad, being with Mum for so long, just knew that was part of who Mum was. And, she has a good and a bad days, and he was very open about talking about that.
Parents deal with my depression by telling me to cheer up. It's not so bad. They kind of always they just want to see me happy. I know they want to see me happy, but they just tell me to be happy. And so if I smile and be a bit upbeat, I guess at the restaurant I'm always upbeat. A lot of people think I'm a really happy person. I am a happy person, I think. But they don't really understand, I guess. They just always just want me to be happy.
People who can't talk about depression because they think it's a bit of a bummer, it's going to bum you out and put you in a bad mood and bring the mood down. Really? I find that really quite emotionally immature, and because it doesn't have to be a subject that brings you down. It's a subject that's real and lives in our world as much as any other ideas do. So now I'm with somebody who can actually talk about it as a normal part of life, and is really very open and has a great emotional vocabulary, and I love that.
The depression may lead to breakdowns in relationships, whether that's within the family role or within sort of the intimate partner role. That it's hard for the child or the partner to understand what's going on. They might get angry with the person for not being involved in the relationship, or they may feel guilty that somehow they've been bad and contributed to that.
It's like when I'm talking to my parents about my depression, it's like I'm speaking another language, and you do get kind of angry, but at the same time you just kind of there's a hole in your chest, and it's just you can't fill it up, and then you're angry at the same time, so you're kind of angry, and then you feel sad, but then you just try and explain to them that sometimes you just feel like nothing, like just empty. Sometimes I don't even feel sad, I just feel nothing. That's a okay day.
One of the critical issues is transparency and openness within the families. We don't want families to be burdened by the history of depression, but there needs to be a frankness and an openness about that.
When I was young, it was a secret, it was a mystery. I wasn't admitted to, and really until quite late in my secondary schooling, I wasn't sort of privy to what was going on. I became sufficiently mature enough, I suppose, to ask questions that couldn't be fobbed off. But with my sons, right from the start, we've said, okay, your aunt has moods, but that's all right.
The problem is that if it's a secret, that can build up the stigma and discrimination, and openness means that people can deal frankly with what's happening and what might happen in the future.
It's helped me be vocal about my condition, and I think ultimately it's helped me cope a lot better with my condition because I'm able to admit it, to say this is how I'm feeling on this particular day, and people go, right, that's where she is, as opposed to having to second guess or tiptoe around, on eggshells around sort of what's going on in the room and what's going on with her. There's none of that.
Families must understand the nature of depression and get tooled up as much as they can in knowing what depression is, what causes it, what causes relapse. That's the first step. The second step is that they have to have access or find access to very good medical treatment, so that once they identify the early signs, that person is straight away into care to be able to be given evidence-based treatments or treatments that work.
Talking about depression is everything for me. I honestly believe that I don't think I would have survived thus far if I hadn't had the good fortune of being in a family who were okay with talking about it. And my heart goes out to people whose families can't talk about it, because I think that exacerbates the terrible isolation and alienation that people feel anyway with depression.